Hello, and welcome to another episode of That Made Your List, a weekly podcast where an average, ordinary film fan, me, interviews other average, ordinary film fans. Joining me this week for the second half of his interview is Caleb Boatman. Hello again, Caleb.
Hello.
Right, okay, so we got halfway through your 20 questions last time out. We'll jump straight into halfway down on there. It's, what's your favourite film from your childhood?
Yeah, this is definitely probably not a film of your childhood because it came out in 2005. This is a film I have seen so many times. It still holds up, obviously not as much as it did when I was a kid, but I think it's still very fun, very imaginative, very funny. It is Sky High, the superhero Disney film.
Absolutely. You're quite right. I was 30 when this came out.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I
have seen it, I have watched it, purely simply because I like superhero movies, and this has so many nods into non-Disney, but obviously it is a little bit now, but ties into the other comic book movies, whether it's being Linda Carter as the principal, who obviously was Wonder Woman in the TV series, and they've got bits... memory serves. I've only long wanted to watch it. There's a part where there's a party and they've got a guy in red and blue that grabs a bit of slice of pizza and then climbs up a wall. Obviously, this is take on Spider-Man. It's brilliant. So, what is it that shines for you? Sorry, I'm rambling over you with it.
I mean, yeah, I think this movie, it hit at exactly the right time for me. I was like, I don't think I saw it in theaters. I don't think I saw it until it was like on, because it played on the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Like 24/7. So that's how I saw it a lot. And I think it is kind of that repeat effect where you do kind of get involved into this world of like, because it is this idea of like, it's very like Disney version of a high school, but it's very clever writing. The kids don't talk so much as like, high school kids, they almost talk like Simpsons characters, right? It's very much like a back and forth joke. One of my favorite lines is, it's set up some way like, so is there any other way for me to get my powers? And it's like, well, some kids will jump into a vat of toxic waste, and then their powers will appear in about 2 or 3 days later. Where they die. And I love stuff like Ron Carlson, the bus driver, who doesn't have any powers, but he drives the flying bus to school. The cast in this, legit amazing. You mentioned Linda Carter.
Yep.
Kurt Russell. Bruce Campbell.
Yep. Coach Boomer.
Patrick Warburton. Kevin McDonald of Kids in the Hall fame. So many. A very young Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yes.
Daniel Panabaker of The Flash. Like, there are so many. Yeah. Like, so many different characters in this. I'm very sad this movie is not on Disney Plus, by the way.
Oh, we won't talk about Disney Plus. I don't get it for another 3 months yet.
Oh, no, I feel bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll stop.
No, it's okay. The only one I'm generally upset about is the fact I'm not able to watch The Mandalorian legitimately yet.
I haven't watched it yet.
Story-wise, I've been able to avoid any and all spoilers with it, apart from good. Baby Yoda, which is absolutely everywhere. But yeah, it's with this the music by Michael Giacchino.
Yes.
Did the score for it and sound for it. The actors who auditioned for the main roles were all contracted for a sequel and a possible TV series.
I wish this would have gotten a sequel. Legitimately, I think there's a lot of directions you could have gone with this.
Yeah.
I think a TV series, especially if it's like a Disney Channel TV series, that would be bad.
Yes.
But I think another movie would be real. You could do a lot of stuff. I would love if they did one in like 2010. So like right at the start of like the Iron Man boom and like the MCU boom. Honestly, I would not complain, even though it's 15 years later, if they tried to do one now. And like the joke is that they're all like old now.
Yeah.
I think that would be there's a lot of jokes that you can make, and I don't think a lot of people have really capitalized on the superhero spoof, except for actual superhero movies, like Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think this movie kind of hits, it's almost like a PG Deadpool, in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, they could almost do it almost as a live-action Incredibles where if you're doing it with the same characters that far on, it says, okay, right, superheroes, they've gone wrong somewhere down the line, so they've been banned. But these are these guys that qualified, that graduated from Sky High, but they can't do anything now. You could almost go that way with it. But
that is true.
Yeah, it's I have watched it. I'd have been 30 plus because I definitely didn't see it in the cinemas. So I'd have been 30 plus when I watched it. So it would have been something on the Sky Movies, and oh yeah, this will do. Let's watch it. No, okay, brilliant. Let's move on then. Back into a genre one. What's your favourite animated film?
This is a tough question because I love a lot of animated movies, but I love Spirited Away.
Okay.
It's Hayao Miyazaki. It's Ghibli. It's basically a darker version of Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
And it works. It's beautiful.
I don't think I've seen it all the way through. I've definitely started to watch it. I don't know if I just got pulled away to do other things and never got around to finishing it or not. I can't remember all of it. I know that much. So, but I honestly expected you to go Lilo and Stitch.
That was very close for me. Lilo and Stitch was up there because I do love that movie. But Spirited Away is just so beautiful, and it hits on so many things. And it's very complicated, and yet it's also very simplistic. It's very dreamlike, but you also feel that real tension. It's very much a work of art in a sense, and it is the beautiful animation. It's the simplicity of the writing. It is the voice talent, which in the English version, Divide Chase voices Chihiro, who is the same voice actress that plays Lilo.
Oh, so okay, that's a lovely little tie-in.
And what's also funny is that actress also plays Samara in the Ring franchise, which is weird and terrifying.
Yeah, definitely. Studio Ghibli's an area that I need to catch up on. I've seen bits of various ones. I've seen bits of Howl's Moving Castle. I've seen bits of Spirited Away. I've not taken a deep dive into them, and I get the feeling if I do, I wouldn't get out in a hurry because I'd want to watch her again and again and another one. So it's what is it with Spirited Away? What is it that brings it up there to the top of the list?
I mean, it is this world that's like being created here because, you know, the center is it's this girl basically having to work her way out of the spirit world.
Okay.
Right? And it's a very creative, all of the different creatures are so unique. You've got, you know, the witch Yubaba, you've got I'm bad at character names, but you've got all these different characters going on who all have very different designs. There's one guy who kind of looks like a frog. There's one guy who's got like 8 arms, but he looks like a person. Okay. Like there's so many different designs going on.
Yep.
And there's a lot of like soft tragedy going on here.
Okay.
And obviously the core focus is Chihiro just trying to get out and save her parents who have been turned into pigs because they trespassed or whatever. It's very surreal. It is a very weird, insane movie, but it takes its time and it lets you just kind of live in this universe for a while, and I really enjoy it.
Oh, fantastic! Are you a massive? Is it a whole Ghibli Studio Ghibli? Do you like all of those? Are you a Ghibli fan, or is it this one in particular?
I I like a lot of Ghibli movies. The first one I ever saw was Ponyo back in like 2008. I actually saw that in theaters,
Right.
and I watched a lot of Ghibli movies. But I think this one hits on like a very special level for me. Like I like a lot of them. I think Kiki's Delivery Service. That's what it's called. I don't know why.
Yes.
Kiki's Delivery Service, really great. There's a lot of other really good ones, but like Spirited Away is just kind of the perfect amalgamation of everything Ghibli for me.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the few things I didn't know about this, it was the first movie to make over $200 million gross before it opened in the US.
Yes, and that makes sense because I think it's such like an epic film that had like, I think Miyazaki, and he's done this a lot, the director Hayao Miyazaki, billed it as his last movie. It was not his last movie. Then he said that Howl's Moving Castle was going to be his last movie. It was not. He said Ponyo, he said The Wind Rises, and now he's announcing he's doing another.
It's Tarantino in it then.
Yeah, or I think he's Steven Soderberghing it.
Ah, right, yes.
Retired, and he's like, okay, this is my last one.
Fantastic. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on?
No, I think we kind of covered everything I love about the movie.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll move on then. So another one that is kind of could come from anywhere with here. With me, we've been through it with me. Mine of this comes from Holy Grail. But what's your favourite quote from any film?
Yeah, I'm going with a quote from Almost Famous, read by Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. The only currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool. I think there's something so profound about that line, right? Like, I think that line, it sums up the film, really.
Yeah.
Because that movie is kind of about really a loser. Patrick Fuga's character is kind of a loser.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets in a situation where he's kind of living the dream. He gets to follow around a rock band, and be a writer for Rolling Stone. And I think it's just so special. And because I think a lot of us movie nerds can kind of relate to that line, because it is kind of like this community. It's a lot of it. It's a bunch of, this trivia community is a bunch of like misfits, and we're movie nerds.
Yeah.
We're nerds.
Yeah.
And I think we're all kind of sharing our love of movies and pop culture, and we get in fights because we're passionate about this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I get called a nerd and a geek almost daily by my wife. Purely simply because she'll come out and say, "Oh, what was such and such with so and so in it?" And I'll be like, "Oh, it's that." And then I'll tell her something else that's about that. And she's like, "How do you even know that?" I'm like, "Yeah, but don't put me under a spotlight and give me 15 seconds to answer it, because I've proven I can't get the answer then."
Legit. Like, whenever I'm like at some sort of event where my family's there, if people are talking about a movie, they'll just, and they can't, one of them can't think of it, they'll just like, "Oh, ask Caleb." And it'll be like, "Hey Caleb, what's that movie with the guy?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me who the guy is." The guy from and then they'll say, "The guy from Men in Black." And I'll be like, "Oh, do you mean Will Smith?" No, not Will Smith. Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, that guy. And then it's like, okay, now give me a little bit more information. Like, I'm very much like, I'm the encyclopedia when you don't want to Google something.
Yeah, absolutely. No, brilliant. Good quote. And then one that obviously is not mine would just be a throwaway, isn't it? It's your mother is a hamster, your father smoked a load of berries. That just rolls off the tongue easily for me. It's one that makes you think. It's really good. So we'll move on. Who is your favourite actor or actress?
This was very tough, but once I thought of this person, it was like, that makes a lot of sense for me. I'm going with Sam Rockwell.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he is the best part of so many different movies, and he plays so many different characters.
Yeah.
Because you look at like, his kind of boom in the in the late '90s with one of the funniest comedic performances of all time in Galaxy Quest,
Yeah.
where he plays Guy.
Yep.
And in the same year, you have a completely different character of Wild Bill and the Green Mile.
Yes.
He's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have him playing Chuck Barris in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, this kind of loser, and he kind of played that type of character for a while. And then you have stuff like, his Oscar-winning Turning 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Outstanding in that movie.
And then you have him playing George Bush in Vice, and he's in so many. One of my favorite performances that I would be very upset at myself if I didn't talk about. It's one of my favorite movies. It's The Way Back.
Okay.
And he is brilliant in that. He's basically like the mentor to this young kid, because the whole premise. Have you seen The Way Back?
No, I've not.
I highly recommend it.
Okay.
The premise is it's this kid. He's on vacation with his family for the summer with his stepdad, played by Steve Carell, in another brilliant performance, who he does not like. And he basically escapes and gets this job at a water park.
Right.
And Sam Rockwell is kind of like he's the manager of this water park, and he's kind of the mentor to this kid.
Okay.
And he's very funny, and the comedic timing. And that's why I think Sam Rockwell is so great, because he can do the drama and he has that comedic timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of one. He seems to be almost pigeonholed or found his niche as the go-to supporting actor, rather than he's your main event, he's your main star here. He's always the guy popping up and providing, especially with Billboards that he won the Oscar for. It's such a depth to that role that could have been played so differently by someone else being there. But he does that supporting role. He's always going to be that guy from that thing rather than the main star in it, I think.
He's kind of like the Philip Seymour Hoffman of today, I would say.
Yeah.
Or like, if you want to even go further back, he's like Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go even further back, the Walter Brennan. So many different... He follows in that tradition of like the character actor, but the very talented character actor that isn't just a character actor. He is a name, but he still takes parts like he's a character actor.
Yep. Yeah. It's just because I picked out some of the ones that the main and the bigger ones is there. Obviously, Green Mile, Galaxy Quest we mentioned, Charlie's Angels he was in, Welcome to Collinwood, Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. I love that movie, and I'd forgotten he was in it. Obviously, a turn in Iron Man 2, which
he's the best part of that bad movie.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
He's the best part of a lot of bad movies.
Yeah, because so we'll go on to the next one of Cowboys and Aliens, where he's.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie. The one that I've seen the trailer for, not out over here yet, is Jojo Rabbit. That looks absolutely hilarious. I cannot wait for that to come out, and that was one I will be watching. I can't wait for that to come out. But no.
Yeah.
Just a few things with him. He was fired from G.I. Jane because he refused to learn how to scuba dive at 3 o'clock in the morning. He didn't mind doing it, but he didn't want to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning when they were filming because of the lights and everything else like that in the Bahamas. And he filmed his scenes for Jarhead in one day, but then they got cut. He was not in the movie at all.
Oh, I didn't even know.
He was in Jarhead, but then got cut. He's one of 13 actors to win a clean sweep of major awards for the same role. So Oscar, BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, and SAG Award for his role in Billboards. So yeah, one of only 13 to do it. I don't know the other 12.
I believe J.K. Simmons for Whiplash was one of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, probably. I think actually I do know a couple. Jamie Foxx for Ray was another one. But yeah, I can't remember
I think Christoph Waltz for one of them. I think Heath Ledger was probably one of them.
Yeah, Ledger would have been for the Joker. Or pretty much all posthumously that year. Everything was with that.
Yeah, Heath Ledger is one of them. And that scene... Oh, never mind. That's wrong. Ledger is one of them.
Yes. His Galaxy Quest performance, as you say, is really, really funny. He based it on Bill Paxton's in Aliens.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
again, he's come out in several interviews and says that when he's basing that, it was done on his he hates it because there's a motion detector in the movie, and when that comes up, and he hates the fact they're getting closer and how it is there, and his fear of dying. And he goes, yeah, he based it specifically on Bill Paxton in Aliens and in the mannerisms of there, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see him. Just once, just get a starring role and this is your movie. Just to break out of the supporting actor role with it.
I mean, I think he has a couple. You've got something like Moon, where he's basically the only person in that movie.
Of course, I forgot Moon.
Yeah, and I think there are a couple others. He does stick to those support stuff. He is like the only actor that I will go see a movie solely because he's in it.
Yeah.
Like, legit, I took Caleb Coho, and I were talking. And he was like, are you going to see Richard Jewell? And I was like, I don't know. I've been kind of burned out on Eastwood with his last couple movies. He's like, yeah. I mean, the actors were good. Paul Walter-Hauser, Sam Rockwell. And I was like, what? Sam Rockwell's in this?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I have to see it.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. No, a brilliant choice, and one that's nice to see. As I say, the supporting actors getting the nod as a favourite. It's always nice to hear. Right. Question number 15. The one that gets the most raised eyebrows and reallys on it, and the one that got the title of the podcast was from answers to this question. What is your most overrated film?
Yeah, okay, Brian Michaels, this is the part where you stop watching. He's not watching, let's face it. He hates my opinions already, so I don't think he could handle... I don't know, maybe he is watching. But I'm going with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Whoa, stop, halt, wait, desist. Right, okay, you're of a certain age, so I may well put this down then as being a generational thing.
You see, here's the thing. I've seen this movie done better. I think you look at something like Wayne's World, right? You take those... I think there is a type of comedy that I love called smart, dumb comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's very much comedy about dumb characters, but it's done in a very smart way. And I think something like Wayne's World takes those two type of like Bill and Ted dumb stoners, but it plays it in it's a way of it's satire. That Wayne's World was really an expose on modern American television in that movie and product placement and all these other things. Whereas Bill and Ted, what I don't really hate about Bill and Ted is that you're not laughing at Bill and Ted. You're really laughing. You're supposed to be laughing with Bill and Ted. You're supposed to be more identifying with them and not kind of making fun of them. At least that's the sense I get from the filmmakers. Obviously, you're supposed to go, oh, that's stupid that he did that. But like, I think Bill and Ted is a movie that is made for the people who were like Bill and Ted in the sense.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. I mean, it's a film that quite comfortably, and obviously with plot points allowing, ties together Napoleon, Billy the Kid, Socrates, Sigmund Freud, Genghis Khan, Joan of Arc, Abe Lincoln, and Beethoven. All into one film. I mean, it launched Keanu Reeves from being 2 years previously he was doing Kellogg's cornflake ads. Not as being I'm a star Keanu Reeves do I eat Kellogg cornflakes. He was literally he to pay the bills he did a cornflakes ad. To 2 years later he was doing Point Break. in '91. It's launched in from there. So without Bill and Ted, we don't get The Matrix, we don't get John Wick, admittedly we don't get some of the terrible one like The Gift and such like, but still, no. I generally do think it's you're right. It's for people that I think if people who grew up in that era and were that age when it came out, it's for them. And as you say, it's Wayne's World premise of two guys who aren't really doing anything and give them something to do. It took the premise from Bill and Ted onto a separate stage and took it further. But without Bill and Ted having that blueprint for it, we wouldn't have got Wayne's World.
That's fair. And that's why I think I respect it from a film historical standpoint, but watching it as an actual movie, that's the issue, right? Like, as the movie itself, it doesn't work for me. I think, of course, you've got stuff like Socrates and all them coming in, but that joke, it's just kind of the same joke over and over. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to have Socrates react to something, normal, and that's just kind of the joke. The one performance I love in this movie, though, George Carlin.
Oh,
I think it's perfect. Yes. And that's the thing. And I think overrated doesn't mean bad, but I get why this movie penetrated pop culture, with the exception of, I think it just kind of came out at the right time.
Yeah, it hit the right button at the right time for the people that were of the age to watch it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's in there now. We'll give Brian Michaels something to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, right. We'll flip it on its head, turn it around. What's your most underrated film?
All right. This is a very small film. I'm going to go ahead and guess that you haven't seen this. Maybe you have, and I'll be very happy. But it is Albert Brooks's, who is one of my favorite directors. It's his masterpiece, Defending Your Life. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Nope.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to give you the premise, because this premise is very unique. The plot is 100% basically, it's showing this weird version of the afterlife, right? But in this world, it's kind of like this reincarnation type of philosophy. It goes in very many different funny directions. It's a comedy for the most part. Yeah. But it's this idea that you basically have to defend your life in like a trial setting. Okay. You have to defend your actions and all this stuff in like a courtroom setting, and it gets very unique. And just the way that they portray the afterlife is like basically this chain of hotels. It's very unique. My favorite performance in that movie is Rip Torn, who plays Albert Brooks' lawyer.
Okay.
Who is very funny. And you also have Meryl Streep in there. Obviously brilliant. I think this is a very unique movie, and it is always my go-to answer when people say, what is a movie you think's underrated? This is always my answer, because people don't talk about this movie enough, and I love it.
I'm loving the premise of it. It's watch on Prime Video. Can you get it on Prime Video?
I don't know if it's on there or not.
No, I like the sound of it. I'm just looking on IMDb on it. I like the actors in it. I will actively hunt this one out. You've sold me on it. You've got one more on it. I'll watch it, and we'll see how it goes.
When you watch, let me know what you think.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do. Okay. This is another one that's going to be interesting. Name a film that you like that no one would expect you to.
Okay. This was tough. I had to talk about this one with Coho, actually. And I was like, and he was like, he gave me a couple genres. Like, what are some movies you really like in these genres? And I found this one. And I think this is a movie that goes against my kind of perceived taste. And I'm going with it's a spoof movie. Mm-hmm. And I think it gets lumped in with a lot of bad spoof movies. I think this is not one of those. It is not another teen movie.
Okay. I've not watched it purely and simply because I had it pegged down in with the later ones of the like Meet the Spartans and
and
the later scary movies, because the first scary movie one I actually quite like. It's actually really funny.
This gets put in the same box
Yes.
as like epic movie and disaster movie and
Yes.
date movie, and it shouldn't be, because this movie it's trying to actually say something
Yep.
about the teen movies of the 80s and 90s. You look at something like epic movie, it's just like, oh, look at that thing, you know this thing, it's references. Not Another Teen Movie is actually making statements, and you bring back Molly Ringwald, you bring back, all these other, like, classic, like, people who were in these 80s teen movies. And I'm not going to act like this movie is a masterpiece. It isn't. It's very hit or miss with the comedy. But when it hits, I love satire, and it makes so many grand statements about it. You've got a really good cast, because you've got Chris Evans as the lead. You've got, a very young Chris Evans. You've got so many different people. Former Schmoedown champion Sam Levine is in this. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I won't deny that. It's a very, like, weird type of... It's not perfect. I have a lot of problems with it. But I think for the question, what is a movie you like that people would not expect? This movie is not in my wheelhouse at all.
Yeah.
And I think people would not expect that this is one that this is not one of my favorite comedies of all time, but this is one that's like...
You don't switch it off if it's on.
I don't watch TV, like, regularly.
Yeah.
I'm part of the streaming generation.
Yep.
But, like, this is one that probably if I'm browsing through it, I might, click on it and watch. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. I would never have put you down as liking something. I mean, I don't know you particularly well, but I would not have put you down as but then again, I wouldn't put that down as anybody ever saying they like or admitting that they like it. So okay, right, we'll move on. We'll one that I think we might talk a little bit more about. We'll go back into the genres. What's your favourite classic film?
This is the third film of those three films that I was talking about that are my favorite of all time. Mm-hmm. It's 12 Angry Men.
Absolutely amazing. This was on Andrew Barr's list from, I think it was on his first episode. I think it made his favourite drama. I think it's definitely on his list.
Yeah, I considered putting it for drama, but it was a case of I wanted Social Network in there, and I was like, I'll put 12 Angry Men for classic, and I'll put Social Network for drama.
It absolutely fits in with the classic. 1957, Sidney Lumet's feature debut. What a debut. What a way to make your special as a director. An absolute masterclass in tension building for a film.
Yeah. Like, just the way this movie's filmed, right? It opens with, like, a long take. It's very, like, the camera is back. It's not very close to the characters, and it's the cuts are long. The takes last minutes. And then as you get more and more intense with the story, the camera gets a little closer.
Yep.
The cuts get a little quicker. Until you get to, like, the end where it's very much, like, intense close-ups, Dutch angles, and it's very, very intense. And you have the perfect ensemble cast. You have Henry Fonda, obviously, but you have basically a who's who of 50s and 60s and 40s character actors.
No, definitely.
You have juror number one, Martin Balsam, in Psycho. He's in the apartment. No, he's not in the apartment. He's in Psycho. He's in Breakfast at Tiffany's. He's won an Oscar. Very talented. You have John Fielder, who you might know as the voice of Piglet in the original Winnie the Pooh cartoon. You have Lee J. Cobb from On the Waterfront. You have E.G. Marshall, who was in like Superman 2 and Christmas Vacation. You have Jack Klugman of The Odd Couple. You have Jack Warden. You have so many different people in this movie.
Yeah.
And I love it.
No,
I love
absolutely.
it so much.
Nominated for 3 Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Writing. Lost out on all of them to Bridge Over the River Kwai.
And I see why it lost directing because of how epic Bridge on the River Kwai is, and that's kind of why I also see how it lost picture. Writing, that was insane.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Bridge on the River Kwai is not a very writerly movie.
No.
12 Inch Men is so dependent on its script.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's the total cast. It's 18 people total. Only 12 of them are actually credited. Only the 12 jurors are credited as the cast. The accused, the judge, stenographer, so on and so forth. They are also glimpsed, but never named or anything like that on it. So
mostly just takes place in one room.
Yeah. Total of 365 takes in the entire for the entire film. And as you say, as the tension builds to it all, it starts further back, and Lumet, as he shot it on the angles growing lower, so it starts above and below. As you say, it gets so the final, as it's building, is below and looking up at them to give that add that claustrophobia. To add it as well, he also mentioned this to Andrew Barr last week. He moved the rooms to be smaller and smaller as it built, so you build in the fact of everyone's being hemmed in to get this through it all. So yeah, it's for a first to have those ideas and those methods to get the claustrophobia and to get the tension ratcheting up on a first feature film is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Henry Fonda has called his 3 best movies this, The Oxbow Incident, and Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
And I think this is the best of those 3, though all 3 are very excellent.
Yes.
Oxbow Incident is very underrated, probably one of the best westerns of all time, and Grapes of Wrath is fantastic.
Henry Fonda never took a salary for it. It deferred until it made money. It took a grand total of $587 in theatres.
Wow.
That's
upsetting.
Yes, definitely. Jack Klugman, juror number 5, was the last surviving juror. He died Christmas Eve 2012. So all of the jurors are now dead, which is a shame. But
yeah, that's sad.
Yes, it's weird. It's tomorrow. There you go. Tomorrow, 5 years ago, as we're sitting for me, because it's past midnight for me. It's now the 23rd for me here. Yeah, I do love this. I came across this. I was working at a record and video store many years ago now, 20 years ago now-ish. And one of the guys there was like, "Oh, you like your film? You've got to watch this." And he lent me his copy of it on DVD. Watched it again, took it back to him, and bought my copy the very next day, and then watched it again. It would drop in here as my classic. I don't think when I did my list all that long a time ago, I probably need to update my list now on all of this lot. But yeah, an absolute classic. It's a fantastic film. Okay, so we'll move on. What's the film with the best soundtrack?
Okay, this is, I gotta go back. Oh yeah, this is probably one that I don't think people think of right away when they talk about soundtracks. I don't even think when you think about this director and soundtracks, this is the one that people drift to, but I love this soundtrack. It is Rushmore, 1998, Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You've got Cat Stevens' Here Comes My Baby. You've got Oh, I'm blanking, but it's like I wish that I knew what I know now. When I was younger, I don't remember the actual. It's La La La. That's the name, or Ooh La La. That's the name of the song.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, I was like thinking on the title.
Yeah, the faces. Sorry, I've got the track list up on the phone now.
You've got The Who. You've got so many different bands. You got Making Time and the excellent opening sequence. You've got John Lennon in there. You've got so many different artists on that soundtrack, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just about the soundtrack itself; it's about how it works into the movie.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. Like, have you seen Rushmore?
I've not.
You see, I recommend.
I thought I'd watched it, but I don't. Yeah, it's not ringing any bells, so I must have.
How big of a fan of you are you of Wes Anderson's style? Like,
I can take him or leave him. For being brutally honest, it's.
Well, I think this is the Wes Anderson movie that is best for people who don't like full on Wes Anderson, because it's clearly like it's before Royal Tenenbaums, so it's not like as poppy with the colors. Yeah. Like it's a lot more of like blue tones. Like it's still that kind of odd, more dialogue and more straightforward way of speaking, and you still do have the symmetrical shots. But it does feel like a more realistic world with odd characters rather than an odd world with odd characters like a lot of his later work does, even though I love Royal Tenenbaums and pt2.
Oh, okay. With the soundtrack of it, is it obviously are the songs sort of like being played by so and so goes puts on a CD or a tape or turns the radio on and that song is playing and that's why and it filters through, or is it a sort of someone singing this song? How does it play into it? Is it?
Yeah, so none of it, as far as I know, is being played within the universe.
Right.
It's all like in the background.
Okay.
But like I think what Wes Anderson does very well is montages, right? Just these quick kind of cuts trying to tell like a short scene, and I think they play the Who's A Quick One While He's Away during this great scene where it's Jason Schwartzman and Bill Murray basically slowly playing a series of escalating revenge pranks on each other.
All right. And
it gets very funny, and the sound like that song really capitalizes on it. I love the Who. Who's Next is one of my favorite albums of all time. Bob O'Reilly and all the songs in that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be honest with that little montage there that you told me about. You've sold me on the film because there's one thing I do like is sarcastic revenge attacks. So it's you've sold me on that. Brilliant, fantastic. Right, we'll move on. We've made it. It's your last question.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is your favourite film franchise?
This was tough. This was very tough. Because there are a lot of movies where it's like, okay, I love that movie in that franchise. Yep. I can't say I love the franchise. So I was like, okay, I need a franchise where I love basically every movie in the franchise. And I was between two. And I was going to go Toy Story, but I was like, everybody loves Toy Story. Yep. Like that's one
Andrew
where...
Barr loves it. That was his franchise. Pretty sure that was his franchise.
And that's a case of I wanted to go a little bit out of left field. So I'm going with trilogy.
Yep.
I'm going with another Richard Linklater series. It is the Before trilogy.
Okay. I've seen the first one, not seen the others.
I think the first one is good. To really appreciate them, you have to watch them all together. Because I think it very much, it's the telling of a relationship in 3 steps. You have the first encounter. It's very much about just that kind of just pure raw passion. But you also kind of know they're not going to stay together. There's this feeling like this is not going to work out.
Yeah.
Then it's just kind of, they leave and it's open-ended, but you kind of assume they're not going to see each other again. Then Before Sunset, it's like, yeah, they never did see each other again. But now they are. Now, by chance, they met, 9 years later.
Yeah.
and things have changed, and they both have lives now, and then things happen, and then I don't want to spoil it, but you kind of have to assume that
Yeah,
before.
I'll be brutally honest, I don't think it's a trilogy that I'll go back and watch, so by all
Okay,
means, spoil away.
fair enough. The Before Sunset. What I love about Before Sunset is that is the one that takes place in just a span of 2 hours. Like, it takes place in real time, where the others, they take place more in the span of a night. I think Before Midnight might be in real time too. I'm not sure, but I know Before Sunset is just in the span of 2 hours, and you get that moment where they kind of realize, okay, we have to get together now, and we actually have to be with each other, because our lives, that one night of passion that you knew was never going to work, kind of ruined both of them.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Because nothing is ever going to be as good as that one night.
Yeah.
And then you get to Before Midnight, where you realize it's kind of the exact opposite, where that one night also ruined them for each other, because neither of them will ever be as good as they were on that one night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fascinating. And you get this painful argument in their hotel room that lasts like 20 minutes. But it's Richard Linklater's brilliant dialogue, which works. It was actually not just written by Linklater. It was written by Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy, and Richard Linklater.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. As I say, I saw the first one. It's not in my boathouse, not in my wheelhouse.
That's
It's not one I'm gonna. If they're on and my wife happens to be saying we're watching this, I will sit down and I'll watch it, being a good, dutiful husband. But it's never one that, if there's anything else other than I would watch a cookery program before the others ones, I think. But anything about making sandwiches just to make Brooklyn happy. Okay, and we are done. We've made it through. We've got there. Thank you once again to Caleb for joining us. Caleb, is there anything you want to, any messages anywhere people can find you, the leagues and such like? You want to have a plug?
On Multiplex, also on NBE Live Schmo Center, which is our Schmodown talk show, Multiplex Movie Warzone. We are taking a bit of a break, but we will be back in February. And Game of Factions, which Multiplex is doing, which is fandom, Warzone. It's all the different factions fighting each other. That's going to be very fun. But yeah, and then obviously if you want to find me, myself, Caleb Boatman on Facebook. Yeah. This was very fun. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Okay, just to remind you all, we are on iTunes and Podbean. Just search That Made Your List. I'm going to be saying That Made Your List quite a lot now. If you fancy being on the show, you can email us on thatmadeyourlist@outlook.com. We're on Twitter with @thatmadeyour. Facebook, we have a Facebook page, That Made Your List, where you can find all the old episodes to go back and scroll through and see what Robert Parker, what his favourite franchise was. I think everyone could probably guess what Robert Parker's favourite franchise is.
I wonder.
Yes. We are on the perfect social media platform for an audio podcast, which is Instagram. Again, That Made Your List. Thank you to Shay Watson and his band Princip for the intro and outro music. Search for them out on Apple Music, and please help out someone who used to be part of the community, but sort of life got in the way, I believe, there. I've been Dave Goodger. He's been Caleb Boatman, and this has been That Made Your List.